So guys, welcome to VRD Nation. Today in this video, we will talk about the king of algo trading software, that is Amibroker, right? So if you are someone who is thinking about buying Amibroker, or if you are someone who is thinking about doing algo trading, a more systematic, disciplined based trading, then this video is for you, right? And this is going to be a very, very important video. You have to pay very close attention to what we are going to discuss, because we will discuss each and every aspect of Amibroker. And when I say each and every aspect, trust me, I really mean it, right? So we will first of all start with what is Amibroker, what is this software all about. Then we will discuss what are the powerful functionalities that makes it special. Then we will discuss how can you buy Amibroker, how much does it cost, which version of Amibroker is best for Indian traders. And then we will discuss how does it work behind the scenes, what makes it tick, and how can you build a fully automated trading system using Amibroker. And at the end of this video, I will share with you the exact steps that you need to take today to get started with Amibroker. So this video is going to be epic. This video is going to be probably long, but I don't really care how long this video turns out to be, because what is important is that how deeply we understand the topic that is at hand. And when we are dealing with a software like Amibroker, we have to be very comprehensive, because there is so much to talk about. So without any further ado, let's get started. So first thing first that we need to understand is, what is Amibroker? So a lot of people are so much confused about this. So first of all, let me clarify a few things. The name Amibroker is a little misnomer. So it has the word broker in it. So what happens is that people think that Amibroker is just another broker. So they think like Zerodha or Upstocks or Angel Broking. So you just have to open an account with them and then you can trade with them. So let me clarify this first. No, Amibroker is not a broker. It is actually a desktop based software developed by a Polish company, and it is used by traders around the world. And just to give you guys a sense of how seasoned this software is, it was developed back in 1995. So it has survived for about 3 decades now. And if a software application survives for this long, you should know that it must have something special, because no application lasts for this long unless they have some kind of a competitive edge. So let's take a walkthrough of all the features that make Amibroker special, and we will start with the charting functionalities. So charting functionalities, if you are a trader, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So in Amibroker, you can do basically any and all kinds of charts, right? So you can do candlestick charts, you can do bar charts, you can do line charts, area charts, Renko charts, Heikin-Ashi charts, right? So whatever charts that you can think of, you can have them in Amibroker. In fact, what you can also do is you can create your own custom charts. So for example, you saw something which you liked in Renko charts, but you also saw something that you liked in the Heikin-Ashi charts. So what you can do is you can combine some of the good functionalities that you saw in the first chart, and then you can use the other chart, you can combine it. So whatever kind of charting functionalities that you have, whatever kind of requirement that you have when it comes to charting, you can do that in Amibroker. Now, as fancy charting functionalities that are out there in Amibroker, I don't think that you should be buying Amibroker just for that, because nowadays a lot of brokers are providing, good charting functionalities. So I don't see a reason why you should be spending any money just for using the charting functionalities, right? You need to focus on those features that are not provided by any broker, and that is what we will be focusing on from this point onwards. So in that series, let's talk about the functionality of watchlists. Now, every serious trader understands the importance of watchlists, because we cannot keep randomly trading stocks without understanding their past history, how they have behaved, and where the potential opportunities might lie, right? So you need to have watch lists for stocks to go long on, stocks to go short on, stocks in the news flow, stocks in momentum, stocks in FNO, right? So there are so many different criteria based on which you need to group your stocks in these logical categories. And not only we need the ability to create these lists, we also need the ability to dynamically update these lists on a daily basis, right? Because the stocks that were, let's say, for example, in my long list may not necessarily fall in my long list tomorrow. In fact, they might as well go in my short list the next day. Now, most of the brokers that we have today, they don't provide any efficient way of maintaining these watch lists, right? Zerodha, for example, right here, I mean, you can see that there are 4 or 5 tabs here, but there is no structured way for me to create these watch lists, give them a certain name, update them on an automated basis, right? So it is basically just a list, and I don't really have an efficient way of managing this list and updating this list. And exactly is the same case with other brokers as well. But when it comes to Amibroker, it gives us the capability of creating hundreds of watch lists, not just dumb watch lists, actually intelligent watch lists that we can maintain in an automated way without having to manually go and check each and every stock whether it qualifies that criteria or not. So if you are an active trader, you need to have this functionality to stay on top of your list without having to spend hours and hours just looking for the stocks and identifying in which watch list or in which category does that stock belong to. Now the next very awesome functionality in Amibroker is that of alerts. Now if you are someone who knows me or you have been following me, you know that I put a lot of emphasis on using alerts. Because when we are using alerts, we are only trading when the market actually calls us, right? So only when the risk reward is favorable, only when the probability of a trade working out is very favorable in our favor, then we take a trade, or otherwise we just stay out. And this approach helps us avoid over trading. This approach helps us overcome the psychological issues, and there are many more benefits of using alerts. Now most of the trading platforms that we have today, they don't really have alerting functionality to start with, right? I mean, even Zerodha, for example, you cannot really create effective alerts in Zerodha platform today. And there are some brokers who have provided that alerting functionality, but the functionality is very, very basic. It doesn't live up to the standard. It doesn't meet the requirement that is there for any active or any professional trader. And that is why I use Amibroker for alerts, because in Amibroker, you can do a lot. And I really mean a lot when it comes to alerts. You can create pop-up alerts, you can create sound alerts, you can create email alerts, SMS alerts. I mean, you name it, you can make it. And the condition on which you want to trigger that alert can be purely custom defined. I mean, it can be as simple as, let's say, a price-based alerts, or it can be based on some advanced criteria such as a strategy-based alerts or a chart pattern-based alert, or something based on a buy signal or a sell signal, or based on a technical indicator. So whatever criteria that you can think of based on which you want to create alerts, you can do that in Amibroker. So guys, alerts are extremely crucial when it comes to our trading performance, and whether or not you end up using Amibroker doesn't really matter. You need to figure out an application that can give you alerts based on the conditions that you have identified, right? And personally, for me, I'm an active intraday trader, especially in options. So the timing of entry and timing of exit can be very, very crucial for me, right? For example, let's say I'm looking for entering a long trade in an option. If I'm late in taking a trade even by a few minutes, instead of getting a price of, let's say, 50 rupees, I probably will get a price of 70 rupees or 80 rupees, right? So time is of essence when it comes to option trading. Same is the case with entry, same is the case with exit. So I need to get timely alerts so that I can take action, I can get into a trade and I can get out of a trade, and that way I will avoid slippages. That way I will avoid getting an unfavorable price, and Amibroker has really helped me a lot in timing my entries and timing my exits. So personally, the way I use it is that I have a pop-up alert along with a sound alert. So the reason I have a pop-up is that because, let's say, I'm away from the desk and I come back, I want to see what alert was created right in front of my screen. That's the number one thing. Second thing is that when I have a sound alert, I have created different sound alerts for different type of signals, right? For a buy alert, I have a different sound. For a sell alert, I have a different sound. For a price volume breakout, I have a different type of a sound. So just by listening to that sound, it tells me that you have to take a certain kind of an action. So your mind kind of becomes, primed for taking action immediately once you hear that sound alert. So that is the way that I like it. I'm sure you have a different way of thinking about it. But whatever is the case, Amibroker has exactly what you need to use the alerting functionality. Now let me talk about the functionality that I depend on extensively on a daily basis, and the functionality is that of scanning and exploration. So what exactly is scanning and exploration? So let's say, for example, you want to scan for stocks that are overbought or oversold, right? So how would you do that today in your broker's terminal, right? So Zerodha, Upstocks, Angel Broking, whatever that you have, will you go and check out each and every stock, whether it is overbought or oversold, right? That's practically not possible. Similarly, if you have to go look for stocks that are giving price volume breakout or a range breakout or momentum stocks or trending stocks or abnormal volume, right? You can have these hundreds of different criteria based on which that you want to scan for stocks. You want to identify which stocks are meeting all these criteria, which stocks are suitable for swing trading, for positional trading, for intraday trading. So when you are dealing with all these different types of criteria and you are dealing with hundreds of stocks, you need an efficient way of finding those stocks where that opportunity exists, and that is where scanning and exploration functionalities come into picture. So let me show you right here. Let's say I'm looking for overbought or oversold stock. So all I have to do is just run this exploration, and I've already defined the logic behind the scenes, and within a fraction of a second I can see all the stocks that meet my criteria, right? And the best part here is that once I have these results, I can now add these stocks to the corresponding watch list without having to spend any time. So this scanning and exploration functionality is also helping you maintain your watch list in an efficient way. So guys, this is how professional traders, they gain an edge over others, right? By streamlining their processes, spending more time on analyzing the charts rather than searching for them. Now, unfortunately, most of the brokers, for whatever reason, they have not bothered to create this exploration functionality. And again, the ones that they did, they are using very superficial kind of filters. So it doesn't really help on a day-to-day basis, right? So you need something which is powerful. You need something which is customizable. You need something that meets your own requirement. Now let me talk about a functionality that is the heart and soul of Amibroker, and that is strategy creation. And here I'm going to make a very bold statement. Whatever strategy idea that you have, whatever idea that you have, as long as that idea is logically consistent and as long as you have data for it, you can build that strategy in Amibroker. Now, I don't know how many applications are out there that can make this kind of a claim, but I can tell you from my own personal experience that you can do whatever you want in Amibroker. There is no limit to what you can do here. So, for example, let's say you have a strategy which is based on candlestick pattern. You can do it. Or you have a strategy which is based on the traditional patterns, right? So, double top, double bottom, or head and shoulders, whatever that you can think of, you can do that in Amibroker. Or you want to do something a little bit more dynamic, right? So you can do that as well. So whatever that you can think of, you can do it in Amibroker. And that actually reminds me of a very interesting strategy that a friend of mine built when I was in US. So he built a strategy based on the tie color of the CNBC's news anchor. Now his firm belief, and I don't know why he thought it, that TV anchors, they are very well connected to the stock market. So if they are wearing a green tie, it means that the day is going to be in the green, it's going to be a bullish day. And if they are wearing a red tie, then it's going to be a bearish day, right? So he used the color of the tie, and this is not a joke, this is real. He used the color of the tie as a parameter for identifying his buy and sell signals. Now, I don't know how effective his strategy was, but what I'm trying to tell you is that however crazy that your thought process might be, however innovative or creative your thought process might be, you can build that in Amibroker. There are no limits. Now let's get serious again. The other very important functionality of Amibroker is that of backtesting, right? So you have created your strategy, whatever strategy that you had in mind, you have created a strategy. But how do you know that your strategy is really going to work in real life, right? So Amibroker gives you the functionality of backtesting your strategy on historical data. Now the historical data can be of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't really matter. You can do backtesting of any strategy within a fraction of a second. So here, for example, I have a very simple strategy and I want to see that if I have to apply this strategy, would this strategy have made any money for me, right? So all I have to do is just run this backtest, and within a fraction of a second, I get the results that yes, this strategy was good, or no, the strategy was really bad. So just by doing this due diligence of backtesting, I can spare myself the frustration of applying this strategy in real life, deploying my real money and getting frustrated if the results don't turn out to be good. So the first line of defense that I have when it comes to applying a strategy in real life is doing the backtesting, and backtesting can be done so easily in Amibroker. I mean, this is like one of the fastest way of doing backtesting, and I really love it for it. But a little side note when it comes to backtesting, right? We think that backtesting is a science. It's a very mechanical thing, right? So you take a strategy, you apply it, and that's how it works. But what I want to tell you, and this is again not pertaining to Amibroker, this is in general, backtesting is science as well as it is an art. So if you are blindly taking a strategy and applying it randomly for the last, let's say 10 years, 15 years or 20 years, you most likely will reach at wrong conclusions. So this is just an advice that please make sure that you understand the finer aspects of backtesting before you start testing your strategy in Amibroker or any other application for that matter. Now, the best functionality of Amibroker is that you can build fully automated algo trading system using Amibroker. So for example, you found a strategy that is showing promising results in backtesting. What you can do is you can integrate Amibroker with any broker that you have so that you can automatically send the buy and sell signals from Amibroker to your broker, and the orders will get executed automatically. And as far as the brokers are concerned, you can integrate practically any broker. It can be Zerodha, it can be Upstocks, it can be ICICI Direct, it can be Sharekhan. So you can integrate your Amibroker application to practically any broker out there that you can think of. Now again, if you guys know me, you know how big of a proponent that I am for systematic trading, for algo trading, for mechanical trading, right? Whatever you want to call it, they're basically all the same. A rule-based discipline system. And the reason I prefer that over discretionary system is because I don't trust myself. And this is again, I'm telling from my own experience that when I'm outside the market, I think rationally, but when I'm in the market, I think emotionally. And this is again, nothing special about me. This is how human brain works, right? When money is on the line, we behave differently. But when we are away from the P&L screen, we behave completely separately. So to rephrase, I trust the rational part of the brain, but I don't trust the emotional part of the brain. And in that sense, algo trading has been a huge benefit for me, because what I have realized is that by using Amibroker, I was able to translate all the rules that I had in my trading journey and let Amibroker take the decisions on my behalf. And now I am 2 degrees separated from my P&L, and I don't have to worry. I don't have to even look at how my P&L is fluctuating. So I focus on the charts and let Amibroker take care of the execution. So what I've done is I have defined rules for everything in Amibroker, right? Maximum loss of the day, there is a rule for that. Maximum loss in a single trade, there is a rule for that. Maximum trades per day, there is a rule for that. Which stocks to trade, which stocks not to trade, there is a rule for that. But my journey from being a discretionary trader to a fully automated rule-based trader is not done yet. I'm still in the process. I hope maybe in the next year or so I can get there, because even till date I have to depend on my own judgment for certain things in terms of position sizing, in terms of entry signals. There are a few things that I have not been able to build those rules on. But by and large, I have automated a lot of my knowledge. It's already there in Amibroker. It's really helped me coming up to the decisions. So far we have discussed all the key functionalities of Amibroker, right? Now let's talk about how do you buy Amibroker. So guys, this is going to be important. So please pay attention. The only way of buying a licensed version of Amibroker is to go to their official website, amibroker.com. Now, up until a few years ago, Amibroker as a company, they had collaborated with several brokers in India, and these brokers used to give out the licenses of Amibroker to their clients, right? But what started happening was that some of these brokers, they started giving illegal licenses, and Amibroker, of course, was not happy about it. So what they did was they said, you know what, no more intermediaries. Anybody who wants Amibroker, they can go to their website and they can download the application directly from there. So if anybody is telling you that they can give you Amibroker as a software, do not trust them, because that is not going to be a licensed version of Amibroker. Okay, so when you go to amibroker.com, you will see 3 options there, right? Standard, professional, and ultimate. Now, a lot of people, when they come to the screen, they are not really sure, should I go for ultimate, should I go for professional, should I go for standard? So I'm going to make your life easier. So first thing first, ultimate is actually not a separate edition. It is basically a bundle of the professional edition of Amibroker along with 2 other tools called AmiQuote and AFL Wizard. Now, AmiQuote is not really beneficial for Indian traders. It is designed for traders outside of India. So that is of course not going to be of great use for you. And secondly, AFL Wizard is also not that big of a deal. I mean, it's okay, but it's not like, you're going to miss a lot. So in my suggestion, I will say that you can safely ignore the ultimate edition. Now the choice is between the standard edition and the professional edition. And let me make your life easier here as well. You need to go with the professional version plain and simple. I mean, I can explain you the difference between the two all day long, but the reality is that the professional version is clearly the best choice, at least for the serious traders. But yeah, I mean, if you want to spend some more time, you want to dig deeper and understand the differences, here is a summary of the difference between the two editions. Okay, now let's say you have decided to go with the professional version and it cost $359, which is about 26,000 rupees. And here is where a lot of people, they get a sticker shock, right? I mean, they say, oh man, this is expensive. This is a lot of money. And I understand. But the thing to keep in mind is that this is a one-time charge. This is not like a monthly fees. There is no annual fees here. You are only paying these fees one time, right? So for example, I bought this version of Amibroker back in 2017. And at that time, I think I paid somewhere around 22,000 rupees. And that is the only amount that I ever paid to Amibroker. And this software is going to be with me for the lifetime, right? So keep that in mind when you're comparing Amibroker with other subscription-based applications, because they may look cheap because they're doing this monthly subscription model. But in a long run, Amibroker turns out to be much cheaper as compared to these other subscription-based applications. But before you make any purchasing decisions, I will advise you guys to download the free trial version of Amibroker, play around with it, get comfortable with it, and only when you feel satisfied, you should make the decision to buy it. Now, when it comes to installing Amibroker on your computer, there is one restriction that you have to keep in mind, and that is that Amibroker is designed for Windows operating system, not for iOS, right? So if you have a Windows machine, you're all set, you don't have to worry about it. But if you have Mac, then you will have to jump through some hoops to get the applications installed. I mean, there is a way around it, but it is not very straightforward. Now, lastly, and this is again very important, I don't know whether we will have enough time to talk about it, but you can also go for cloud hosting, right? So instead of deploying Amibroker on your machine, what you can do is that you can rent out a cloud application, a cloud desktop, and you can install Amibroker there. And this is becoming more and more appealing to a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And again, maybe we'll discuss this in a separate video. So this is another option that you have when you have to install Amibroker. So guys, up until now, we have seen all the features of Amibroker, where to buy Amibroker from, which edition to choose, and how to get it installed, right? Now, what next? Now, after you have installed Amibroker, the first thing that you need to know about Amibroker is that Amibroker needs data, right? Without the data, Amibroker is just a blank slate. There is nothing to see. There is nothing to do. So you need data to use Amibroker. So what kind of data does Amibroker need? Well, Amibroker needs all the data that you see on your broker's terminal, right? So this, for example, right here is my trading account with Zerodha. So all the information that I see about this particular stock or this particular index, I need to get that information. So I need the price, I need the volume, I need the bids and ask, I need the lot size, I need the open interest. So all that information that we take it for granted when we are in the trading terminal, that information needs to be fed to Amibroker. So how do we get the data into Amibroker? Well, for that we have to buy the data from data vendors. So data vendors are basically the companies that have all the data that we talked about, and they have it in the format that Amibroker can read and Amibroker can understand. For example, this company right here, Global Data Feeds, is one such data vendor, right? So you can just go to their website, pay a monthly fee, and that's it. These data vendors will take care of all the setups, and it barely takes like 5-10 minutes. And once the data feed is connected to Amibroker, the data automatically starts flowing in the application. You don't basically have to worry about them. Everything goes seamless from that point onwards. So now that Amibroker has the data that it needs, we can see the charts, we can do the back testing, we can create strategy, we can create alerts, we can do exploration. Whatever we want to do, we can do it now that we have the data. Now there is one thing that you need to keep in mind, is that there are two types of data vendors. One is authorized and the other is unauthorized. So the authorized data vendors, they have the permission from the stock exchanges that yes, you can distribute our data. Our data means See, the data belongs to the stock exchange. The ownership of the data lies with the stock exchange. So only the stock exchange can tell which company is authorized to distribute the data and which companies cannot. So we already talked about Global Data Feeds, which is an authorized data vendor. But apart from that, there are other data vendors also that you can explore. Now, the unauthorized data vendors, as the name suggests, they are not authorized by the stock exchange to distribute the data. It means they don't have the permission to distribute the data. But because they don't have to pay the stock exchange the license fee to distribute the data, they are offering data at much cheaper prices as compared to the authorized data vendors, right? And this is where I see that a lot of people, they get confused, right? I mean, they keep asking me that, should I go with an authorized data vendor? Should I go with an unauthorized data vendor? There is so much of a difference in the price, right? So guys, here's the thing that I want you to understand. While you are learning Amibroker, while you are playing around with the application, right? It's just like a sandbox environment. It doesn't really matter which data vendor that you use, right? Because data is not important. What is important is that you are learning the application. But when it comes to actually using the data, right? Using the data to create strategy, to run back test on, to generate alerts based on, you need to go with authorized data vendors. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Because the data from the authorized data vendors is reliable, is trustworthy, whereas the data from unauthorized data vendors is notoriously error prone. And sometimes I can tell you from experience that what happens is that these unauthorized data vendors, they will send some data which is incorrect, but in their later feeds, they will correct that data. So you will not even know that they made a mistake, let's say 5 minutes back or 10 minutes back, because they correct their mistake. But if your buy condition or your sell condition was triggered based on that faulty data, can you go back to the stock exchange that say that, oh, you know what, I took this trade, it was based on the wrong data, I want to take it back? No, right? What is done is done. So that is the problem with these unauthorized data vendors, that the data is not reliable. Now the example that I gave you was of the real-time data, but there is also a problem with historical data, right? So the data of the last 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. The problem with the data of these unauthorized data vendors is that sometimes they are not adjusted for stock splits or dividends or other corporate actions. So, right, so if you are looking at the chart of, let's say, 5 years or 10 years, sometimes the chart will give you some very wrong information because the prices have not been adjusted for the corporate actions as they should have been. So guys, I understand the temptation of buying cheap data, but at the end of the day, if your data itself is faulty, if your data is wrong, what could be your backtested results, your alerts, what could be your buy or sell signals, right? So you have to look at the big picture. Don't just go for cheaper, do the right thing and choose wisely. So let's say you decided a data vendor, and then the data vendor basically connected their system to your Amibroker system. The data is flowing. And if you're only using Amibroker for, let's say, strategy creation or backtesting or alert creation, you are good to go. You don't have to do anything. You are perfectly set. But if you want to create a fully automated trading system, it means that the buy and sell signals that are being generated in Amibroker, you want to send those signals to your broker, then you have to integrate Amibroker with your broker. Now, as we talked about, Amibroker can be integrated with almost any broker out there, Zerodha, Upstocks, Alice Blue, Sharekhan, whatever you can name it, Amibroker can be connected. And the way the connection is made is that your broker will give you two pieces of information. One is called API and the other one is called the secret key. So using these two pieces of information, you can integrate Amibroker in such a way that any buy and sell signal that you create goes automatically to your broker, and the order will get executed without having any kind of manual intervention. So this is the overall setup, guys. You have the data vendor, you have Amibroker, and now you have the broker. This is your complete setup. You are good to go. Now, what next? Well, the setup is ready, but you have to tell Amibroker what to do, right? When you are creating a strategy, you have to tell what strategy Amibroker has to create. When you have to run an exploration, you have to tell Amibroker what to do, what kind of stocks to look for. It means you have to talk to Amibroker. Now, just like any other human being, let's say for example, somebody understands Hindi or Tamil or Telugu. If you want to talk to them, you have to talk to them in their own language, right? In the same way, if you want to talk to Amibroker, you have to communicate with Amibroker in its own language, which is called Amibroker Formula language, or AFL for short. So Amibroker understands AFL. So whatever conditions that we want to define, whatever criteria that we have to build, whatever instructions that we have, whatever rules of position sizing or maximum loss or buy signal or sell signal, whatever that we have in mind, we have to tell Amibroker in the AFL language. Now this is the time a lot of people start to get nervous, and I can completely understand that, because people who have technical backgrounds, they are programmers, they are very comfortable picking up any new language and start coding. But people who are from non-programming background, from non-coding background, they start to feel a little overwhelmed that, I don't know, I have not done anything like this in my life. Can I do it? So I can tell you from my own experience that I am an MBA in finance, right? So I don't have any programming background. And even though it took me some time to understand AFL, but it became easy over time. And I'm really glad that I gave the time and attention to learning that skill, because it's helping me for several years, and I'm sure it's going to keep helping me down the line as well. So if you are coming from a non-programming background and you are feeling a little overwhelmed, I can tell you from my own experience that you can do it. It's not a rocket science. It's absolutely not, right? It's just a matter of practice. With practice, you can do anything in life, and that's what I believe. With practice, you can learn anything, and this is nothing. It is just a logical way of approaching something. And once you do even a little bit, right, even the first script that you write and it executes perfectly fine, that gives you the confidence that yes, I can do it. And then you build on that confidence. You just keep doing more and more and more, add more criterias, make it more sophisticated, do some trial and errors, right? Can be done. So do not worry, absolutely do not worry that you don't have any technical background. So how would you learn it? You can absolutely learn it. Not just myself. There are people that I have worked with. There are people that I know with no background whatsoever. Forget about coding. They didn't even have background in science, right? So they are doing it perfectly fine. It can be done very easily. Now the other thing that I want you to know is that Amibroker is of course a very popular language. So what you can also do is that you can hire people to write code for you, right? So there are a lot of good websites out there where you can find some very experienced people out there who can write the Amibroker code for you. So if you want to hire someone to do it on your behalf, you can do that as well. But here is my recommendation, that if you want to do that, that's fine. But you cannot always be dependent on somebody else, even for small things, right? And even to have an intelligent conversation with a developer to explain your requirement, you need to have some basic understanding of AFL, right? So this is something which I will recommend. So it's good that you are exploring outside resources. It's good that you are tapping into the talent of people out there. It's fine. But that is absolutely not a substitute for your basic understanding of AFL. And again, think of it from a long-term perspective, right? Not just like, next 2 months, 3 months. This is something that you will be using for like, let's say next 10 years or 20 years, right? So this is definitely a skill that I want you to think about seriously and develop. Even up till a certain point, you need to have this level of skills. So how do you learn Amibroker and how do you learn AFL? Well, first thing first, we have created a very beautiful course on Amibroker. I'm really proud of that, where we have taken a perspective of complete beginner, no technical understanding, like no understanding of coding, no background whatsoever, like plain vanilla background. How can that person start from the very basic, slowly using examples, case studies and some assignments, how they can build on that skill and develop a good understanding of Amibroker. So that's one way to learn. But let's say you don't want to enroll into any course, you just want to learn on your own. For you guys who want to learn on your own, I will recommend a book. It's a very good book. You can get started with that. It's a free book. The link of that is given in the description below. You can do that. Now, along with these two, there are other forums out there where you can post your questions, and there are people who are active in those forums. They will guide you. Sometimes you get the answer that you want, sometimes you don't. But at the very least, there is a place where you can interact with people with similar objectives, with a similar kind of a skill. So that is something that you should explore as well. So guys, up until now, I have talked about all the good things about Amibroker, but what are the disadvantages of using Amibroker, right? That's another question that I need to give you guys a balanced perspective whenever you are making a decision like this. So the good things are already known. Now I will tell you some disadvantages of using Amibroker. The number one thing, and it's kind of a disappointing thing, is that Amibroker, in spite of being such a great software, they never developed a web-based version of that, right? I mean, these guys are very smart, really very smart. They could have easily developed a web-based version which is much more accessible from any device. There is no dependency on installing. That's not the case, right? Still, it's a desktop-based software. I don't think that they have changed any core feature up since 2017 or 18. So that is the disadvantage number one. Now the second disadvantage, I think, which we talked about that just a few minutes back, is that it takes some time to understand Amibroker. It takes some time to understand the AFL language. There are no shortcuts, right? So I don't want you guys to have the impression that you will just buy Amibroker, tomorrow you will start coding and everything is good to go. It takes a few months for you to master AFL. It takes a few months to understand how Amibroker works. Once you get there, of course, you will go on autopilot, but you need to plan for a few months of understanding the application. So please keep that in mind when you are thinking of buying Amibroker. But all said and done, I'm sure a lot of people might be asking, and people ask this me all the time, that is it really worth it? Is it really worth spending that much time learning about Amibroker? Is it really worth spending that much of money buying the software, right? And the answer to that question, without any doubt in my mind, is that absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think that I have even a shred of doubt in my mind that this is such a great, sophisticated application which will make our life so much easier, especially when it comes to algo trading. And the amount of money, and again, there is no objective way of defining it, but the amount of money that I have saved, first of all, but avoid taking bad trades, and the money that I make even in a single trade is more than the cost that I ever paid for the license of Amibroker and the data charges, right? So very powerful thing. What is more important to understand is that it's like Ferrari, right? I mean, it's a machine which can do wonders. The question is not so much about whether it's worth it, right? Is Ferrari worth it? The question is whether you need it or not, right? Or whether you want it or not. So if you're an investor, for example, and you're looking for long-term investment, I don't think Amibroker is for you, right? So you should look for some other websites where you can do the research, even backtesting, although you can do that in Amibroker, but I think just for backtesting also it's not really recommended. But if you're a serious trader, right, you are, let's say, looking for becoming a full-time trader at some point, or even let's say from an active swing trading standpoint, you want to spend more focus on trading, then it is absolutely worth it. You will not regret it, provided that you know how to use its functionality. So the problem is people buy Amibroker, they don't know how to use it because they don't spend time learning how to do it, right? So that is the real question to ask. If you're a serious trader and you're willing to learn, this is a tool for you. If you are a casual trader or if you're an investor from a long-term perspective, then maybe not. So guys, I know this video was very long, and I'm sure most of the people must have dropped out somewhere in between. But if you are watching this video up until this time, I'm hoping that you got some insights into this application, some understanding of how to approach it, or at least it would help you make up your mind whether you want to buy this application or not. So with that, I will end this video, and if you guys have any questions about this application, just ask us in the comment section below, and we will be more than happy to answer it.